Hello fellow teachers, in today's video I'm going to be walking you through how you can create an interactive digital notebook and customize it using Google Slides. We all know how useful and engaging interactive notebooks can be in our own face-to-face classrooms. But ever since we had to shift our classrooms into a more digital learning space, I kind of started using interactive online notebooks with my students. Now, digital interactive notebooks are very similar to physical ones, except in the sense that they are digital or they are available online. These notebooks are fully customizable to your own subject matter, and you can kind of create a template of the type of activities and resources that you want your students to be able to have in their interactive notebooks. You could also have students create their own templates for them to use. The benefit of using an online or digital interactive notebook is that they're a lot more organized, and everything that the student needs is going to be in one place. It's also a lot easier to grade because students can submit everything in one location, and you're able to kind of have a back and forth conversation with your students. Digital notebooks are also very multimedia rich, and this can make them a lot more engaging for students, especially those that are more tech inclined, which to be honest is the majority of students these days, by grading their notebooks. They're also paperless, which is excellent if you're trying to save and cut down on the amount of paper that you want to use in your class. With physical notebooks, a lot of the times I have students struggle with things like organization. They might misplace it, they might lose it. A lot of them have, not the best of handwriting, so it becomes difficult to read what they wrote. Interactive digital notebooks are a lot more organized. They allow for a lot more flexibility and customization, and they're a lot easier to grade because everything that the student needs you to see or grade is in one location, and they can submit that through Google Classroom. Now in today's video, I'm going to be walking you through several things. The first thing I'm going to be showing you is how you can create a digital notebook, a very basic digital notebook from scratch. I'm then going to be showing you how you can use and customize the template that I provided for free in the description box below. I'm going to be showing you how you can use the pre-existing template, add to it, customize it, and how you can incorporate things like graphic organizers and other activities in the digital notebook template that you can create for your own self and your own subject. Finally, I'm going to be showing you how you can assign a digital notebook on your Google Classroom page, and how I'm going to be going briefly over how you can grade these notebooks and the different kind of grading options that can be available with a digital notebook. So if you are creating a digital notebook and you want to do that from scratch, the first thing you're going to be doing is you're going to go onto your drive and you're going to click New, Google Slides. Next, we want to reformat the slide size and the slide dimensions so that it goes from looking like this rectangle here, or the slide format, and we want to change it so it looks like an actual notebook. So we're going to go to File, Page Setup, and then we are going to click this drop-down menu, click on Custom, and we're going to change the dimensions so that it is a standard page dimension, which is 8.5 by 11 inches. And I'm gonna go ahead and click Apply. And right away you can see that now our slides have been transformed into something that looks like a notebook page. I'm gonna delete these because we don't really need them. And digital notebook, you can call it whatever you want, and then you can do several things. So you could either use the template that I've provided, and I will explain how you can use that next, or you can kind of build your own notebook from scratch. And there are so many options on Google Slides that you could use directly in order to build the digital notebook that you want for your students. So by using text boxes, you can add a space to add titles or instructions, and we can make these bold, we can change the font, and we can make this, let's say, 30. And then we can create another text box, and this is where the students would write their notes or answer your question prompts. And I recommend using a 24 font for their answers, just so that it's easier for them and for you to see. Another thing that you could do is you could obviously add images. So you can insert images either from your own drive or from your computer in case these images are significant for whatever activity you want them to do in the notebook. Another thing you can do is, of course, use the image search option that is found on the right side right here. So we can search, let's say I want to make this a bit cuter and I want to add a picture of a pen or a pencil. So let's put pencil PNG. And if we go to images, we can add, nice little decorations so that we can customize our notebooks and make it look more professional. And you could have students, again, type out their notes here. You can add more slides in order to create as many pages in your digital notebook as you need. And of course, you can then create and build on this kind of like digital notebook. And so I'm going to be taking you through the template that I've created over here. And this is essentially a digital notebook. Now, I'm going to also be showing you how you can take this template and kind of customize it depending on the activities that you want your students to complete and to go through in your own particular subject. For my purposes, I require my students to take notes daily. It's kind of like a daily task or a daily homework that they have to do. They can do it in class, and if they don't finish, then they can do that at home. The idea is to have students practice note-taking, and since I teach high school, I want them to be self-sufficient in terms of figuring out what of the information that I give in class, what is important enough for them to take down as notes. So I want them to be practicing skills such as summarization, such as thinking critically in terms of what information we need to focus on. And I felt that having them keep a notebook would be a good way to do that. Now, in the past years, I've been having them create physical notebooks. However, I want to move to a more digital notebook taking option, or I want to have that as an option for them. So I decided to come up with the following template. So you'll notice right away that the first part of this digital notebook is just the title page, and it's completely customizable, meaning that the students can you could change the subject area, so you can go ahead and type whatever subject area that you teach in here, and then the students, once they get a copy of this, they can go ahead and change this to match their name. And at the bottom here, I've added the date, so the year, but also you could change this so that it matches the topic or the unit or even the semester that you're kind of covering in the digital notebook. Now, you can choose to assign one notebook for the students for the entire unit, and it will basically, they will fill it out, and then once they're ready to submit it, they will turn it on Google Classroom, and then once you check it, you can return it back to them, and so on and so forth. And I'll kind of show you how you can do that in a bit. Or instead of doing that, you can assign them a different notebook per topic. Or per activity even. So again, it's super flexible in terms of how you can actually use this. Now, the second slide I have here is basically an instruction slide, and you could either have this as general instructions for students on how to use the notebook, how the notebook will be graded, any miscellaneous information that you kind of want to provide them with regarding the notebook, you can put here. Or you can use this, you can erase this, and you can use it as an instruction page for a particular activity that you want them to do within the notebook. Next, I have kind of like a blank sheet, and right here they can customize the topic and the date. And like I told you, I have my students take notes daily. So I'm gonna go ahead and add a text box, and I'm going to change the font to around, let's say, 20 or 24. This way, students can actually write their notes in here, and they can create or duplicate the slide. Of course, the template slide. They would duplicate the slide every time that they would have to write a new note for a particular topic. The last slide I in case you don't want the graphic that I included here, the last slide is more like a blank slide. Again, it can be used for them to type notes. They could use this to add images, to add drawings, in case that's the type of activity that I am asking of them. So this is kind of like the basic template that I've created here. Next, I'm going to be showing you how you can integrate other activities and other types of templates within this in order to customize your notebooks. So now that I've went over the general template, I'm going to show you guys a few examples of how you can take the template and kind of add to it, customize it in order to make this digital notebook as effective as possible for your own subject area. So a few examples of how you could use this. So I took this template, I created a duplicate of it. So duplicate slide. And then I just erased whatever was already on this because I'm going to do something else with it. And instead, I basically created a claim evidence reasoning chart or graphic organizer that I use with my students. In order to create that claim evidence reasoning graphic organizer that you just saw, I'm just going to go ahead and start with the title. And I change the font. Again, I use around, let's say 24 or something similar to that. And then I'm going to change the font to this. I really like Luckiest Guy. And obviously there's a lot of other options on there, but I usually feel like the really chunky types of fonts, I don't know what better way to describe them, make better, I guess, title fonts, if that makes sense. All right, so next, in order to create the other parts of this graphic organizer, all I need to do is grab the shapes that are right here and, right here, and I used this shape. So the second shape, that's not the rectangle, it's kind of like the rectangle with the rounded edges. And you just go ahead and place it, double click for that text thingy to come up. And I'm gonna go ahead and type claim, and then I'm gonna click where you see the alignment options up here, and I'm gonna click this, which essentially says that text, instead of it being written in the center there, I want it to be pushed to the top. So that way when the students type, they just type below. I think it just looks better. You can also change the font of this. So it's like 20. I'm gonna bold it, and I'm also gonna make this Luckiest Guy. And you can change the color of this shape that you just added. So let's say I make it yellow. And then all you have to do is, let's push this a bit up. All I have to do is copy the shape and paste it twice, because that's how many elements are present in my graphic organizer. And now I have a claim evidence reasoning chart, which graphic organizer basically, which I can add to my notebook, and that way when students get this notebook, they already have the graphic organizer in their individualized notebook. Since this is something that students use all year long, I would include this as a template in their notebook, so that way when they get that notebook at the beginning of the year, all they have to do from that point on is simply duplicate that slide every time they would have to fill this out for an experiment. So let's say that they're doing this for experiment 1. All they have to do then is change that title, and you would teach them how to do that. So it would be claim evidence reasoning, for example, experiment 1. And that way you don't have to keep giving them the same worksheet every single time, right? If you're using graphic organizers more than once throughout the year, there's no need to keep giving them copies of these graphic organizers. If you have them already in their notebook and you give that notebook to them, you attach it to Google Classroom at the beginning of the year, then all they have to do is make copies. and they can do that on their own. You could teach them how to do that, and that's going to save you so much time and hassle. Another frequently used graphic organizer could be something like this. Again, this is something that I use in my class. I know this is very sciencey. If you teach English, let's say you're doing a KWL chart. I know that a lot of teachers use that no matter the subject area. So I have this already started, and I want to show you how you could create something like that. And you can actually make use of that instructions template that I've included in this particular notebook. So I've utilized this template page in order to create or add my instructions for that KWL chart so students know what to do. And then I can either use this blank template page or this blank template page. I want to use this one. So I'm going to duplicate this. Duplicate slide, and I'm going to take that duplicated slide and drag it so that it's right underneath the instructions. So to do that, again, I'm going to utilize these very handy shapes that I see here on Google Slides. If you want to get fancy, you can use Canva. You can try to search for templates online and simply copy paste them as images onto this. So I'm going to take this rectangle, create a column. I'm going to change the color, so let's say the light yellow, and this will be my K. So I'm going to write K. I'm going to make this way bigger, so let's make this, I don't know, 40. Oops. Okay, a 50 looks good. I'm going to change the font again to Luckiest Guy because I just like it so much. And I'm going to, again, click on formatting or alignment up here, and I'm going to push it to the top. Then I'm going to click on alignment again, and I'm going to center it so that letter goes in the center of our column. So now we have a K. I'm going to push this a bit this way. Now all I have to do is duplicate this basically. So copy paste. So we have our W, and copy paste. So we have our L. Now the students have this as a template. I'm gonna change this font so it's like a 24, and then I'm gonna change this alignment to, is that a right? No, that's a left. So that way when students type, I also want to change the font for students. So I kept let's do pop-ins. So I kept the title as one thing, and then when students come to actually write on this, they will write in a different font. Now, what's happened is that we have a KWL chart, which I know a lot of teachers use, and all you have to do at this point, again, is include this at the beginning of the year, at the beginning of the unit, whenever you want to give this digital notebook to your students, include it in as a template, and when it's time for them to use a KWL chart for whatever activity you want them to complete in their notebook, all they have to do is duplicate the slide and work on that particular slide. Now, it's very important that you teach your students how to use these digital notebooks when you first introduce them, especially if they haven't really used anything like this before. Guide them through it, walk them through it, and what's even more important is to remind them that they should always have at least one copy of the templates that you've created and included in your digital notebooks. So you don't want them to end up deleting the templates, because remember, a lot of these templates that you've included, whether it be a graphic organizer or an activity that's going to be repeating throughout the year, and you want them to have access to it more than once, you want them to make sure that they don't delete at least one of those templates so that they can continue to create duplicates of that template slide and then reuse it over and over. Next, I'm going to be showing you how you can assign the notebooks. So in order to do that, you're just going to assign it just like you would any assignment. So create assignment, and we're going to call it, let's say, Digital Notebook Unit 1. And then you're going to add the digital notebook from your drive. Then you want to make sure that you change Students Can View file to make a copy for each student. This way, each of your students has a copy of the notebook template that you've created. For the due date, it really depends. Do you want the students to have this notebook due at a particular date, Or do you want them to have it all year long and just kind of keep submitting it on a date that you choose? Again, this is flexible, it's up to you. I usually like to have their notebooks due at a particular time. So I would choose a due date, and then for the topic, you would just choose a topic. If your notebook is, again, it goes with a specific unit. If this is a notebook that you're just giving them for the entire year and it kind of is going to encompass all the units, then perhaps you can create a topic and call it notebook. And that way, whatever you add here, whatever kind of resources you add, or any future notebooks that you would add it under that specific topic. If there's a rubric, if your notebooks are graded, this is your opportunity to add a rubric over here. And then the other options, again, are up to you to customize. Now, when this digital notebook is assigned, students are going to have the option to go through it, edit it, add to it, complete the activities that you have assigned in that digital notebook. And then they will turn it in just like they would turn in any other assignment. If you do have a due date and they turn this notebook in late, it will show up as late, and you could have your own consequences for that. I hope that wasn't too confusing. If you do have any questions, please feel free to ask, and I will be more than happy to clarify in the comments. As usual, if you enjoyed this video, I would really appreciate if you could give it a like. And if you'd like to see more videos like this, please consider subscribing. My goal for the next few months is to grow my followers number to at least 1,000. I would really appreciate if you could share this video with any other teachers that you feel might benefit from this strategy and these tips. Have a great day.